Good evening, citizens of Linden, colleague, board members, staff of the Linden District Board of Education. Today is May 25th, 2022, and we are here as the regular Board of Education meeting as it stands by our bylaws. Before we start the meeting, I'd like to invite all of you to please rise and salute the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam Secretary, please recite the statement of adequate notice.
In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided as follows. On January 10th, February 14th, and May 12th, 2022, notice was sent to the Home News Tribune, Star Ledger, the Union County Local Source, and the Clerk of the Municipalities. By state law, there is no smoking permitted in this building at any time. In addition to the listed items in this agenda, this Board of Education may discuss and act upon other items not specifically referred to herein as allowed at a regularly scheduled monthly board meeting under the Sunshine Law.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Dr. Berghammer?
Present.
Ms. Cintron?
Present.
Mr. De La Cruz?
Present.
Mrs. Fleming?
Present.
Ms. Gilliam?
Here.
Mr. Martucci?
Here.
Ms. Pino?
Present.
Ms. Thomas?
Present.
Mr. Rivas?
Present. Board members, I will entertain motions to approval of minutes.
Motion to approve minutes.
Second.
They are different meetings. Would you like to be more specific on your motion?
The public hearing work session on April 26, 2022.
So we have. How about if you do this? You approve. You rate all the meetings so we can approve all three meetings at once, and you make a motion that way.
Motion to approve the minutes of both meetings that I believe we had. Correct. All minutes. Three. All three.
1, 2, 3. Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
1, 2, and 3.
And you're going to second both of them?
Second it.
Okay, thank you.
There's a second. Any discussion before we go to roll call? With no discussion, roll call, Madam Secretary.
Dr. Berghammer?
Yes.
Ms. Cintron?
Yes.
Mr. De La Cruz?
Yes.
Mrs. Fleming?
Yes.
Ms. Gilliam?
Yes.
Mr. Martucci?
Yes.
Ms. Pino?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Rivas?
Yes.
Now, do we have to go through them again?
They agreed to do it via
So,
consent.
we'll do
yes
all
to
three.
both. Okay.
All three.
Want to challenge us on semantics of
Okay.
that's fine.
Hold on, let me just catch up. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. At this time, we continue with the agenda with our superintendent's report.
Thank you, President Rivas. Good evening, Board of Education, community members, families, parents, students, and staff. This evening, I have to continue to update the community on the school district's response and some in real-time activity that's going on in the district. If you see me on my phone, I am in communication with the Linden Police and the principal of the high school at this time. Last night, I did convey my serious emotional response to the shooting in Texas. And unfortunately, when things like this happen, we have people who find amusement in these sort of tragedies, and they call in fake threats, or they post fake threats. That's what we're dealing with right now in the high school. The Linden Police, they have been notified. We will send out a correspondence to the community. I'm working with Gary Miller and the principal right now while I'm sitting here in this board meeting. The person who posted these threats, the police were sent to his home. We will not tolerate any type of threat to any of our schools and our students. Parents, as I said last night, I implore you to speak to your children, monitor your children, check in on your children. We are in the middle of a mental health crisis. We are winding down the school year. There are a lot of exciting things going on. We still have testing and we cannot afford to lose ground with these threats, and every threat has to be taken seriously. So I just wanted to inform the board, inform the community, this is ongoing, and you will be updated as we receive more information. And if I have to step out, I'll let you know, Mr. Rivas. Now to my superintendent's report. I want to commend all of our staff and students who took part in last Friday's walkathon to benefit the Links Food Pantry. It was a fun day at Wilson Park for students and staff, and a worthy cause to help those in our community who are in need. The Linden High School National Honor Society donated $1,000 to Links, and students from all of our schools helped the cause by donating canned goods and non-perishable foods, even if they didn't attend the walkathon. So congratulations to our students. Technology students at McManus Middle School wanted another computer with a powerful processor to help them with live streaming videos, graphics, and gaming. So they took it upon themselves to build their own. With the support of technology, teacher Howard Schultz and supervisor of instructional technology, Joseph Scaldino, and the students designed the computer in a virtual setting and then purchased the parts they needed. Mr. Schultz and the students were interviewed last week by NBC's News 4 New York and are waiting to hear when the feature will air. We are all looking forward to watching this wonderful segment. I also had the privilege last month to visit the Academy of Excellence for the Count the Calories breakfast. I attended that breakfast with our board vice president, Dr. Berghammer. The students did a wonderful job greeting guests, taking our orders, preparing our meals, and serving up a delicious, nutritious breakfast. This was held on our monthly SEL day, and I would like to thank the science teacher, Mr. Zaiden, for organizing this event, which allowed students to use what they have learned in science and in their math classes in a real-world work environment. I also had the pleasure last week to lead the opening ceremonies march of the annual Paul Blue Elementary School track meet. Athletic Director Steve Viana, our physical education teachers, and the Linden High School boys and girls track teams did a wonderful job organizing and running all of the events. Our elementary school student athletes had so much fun competing and representing their schools in a multitude of events over 2 beautiful days and made memories that will last a lifetime. You can see all the medalists' names and photos on our district website. Also, congratulations to Linden High School athletes for being awarded National Honor Roll status for its commitment to continually develop its coaches to help them better lead and protect student athletes. LHS is one of just 95 schools across the country to meet the requirements for Level 1 of the Honor Roll program of National Federation of State High School Associations. Only 5 schools in New Jersey have been honored. To reach Level 1 of the Honor Roll, more than 90% of the LHS coaches have completed 4 required professional development courses. This prestigious honor comes on the heels of Linden High School receiving the Safe Sports School Award for the National Athletic Trainers Association in 2019. This honor recognizes secondary schools around the country that take the crucial steps necessary to put their athletes in the safest possible environment. Also, a big congratulations to our graduating seniors. They recently celebrated Decision Day to show off their choices for their path after high school. Whether they're going to college or into the military or beginning their chosen career, we celebrate them all. Students wore college and military shirts and got support and advice from their teachers and staff members at an afternoon assembly. Also, congratulations to 10 orchestra students from McManus and Seoul Middle Schools and school number 2 for being chosen for the Central Jersey Music Educators Association Honors Orchestra. The students were selected because of their abilities and work ethic. They worked for 3 weeks before joining their peers from other schools for a day of rehearsing and performing. Finally, I'm happy to announce that we are ready to launch our district's new mobile app, where students, staff, and families will be able to get district news, information, and alerts on their mobile devices. The app is integrated so parents can log into and get information specific to their student and can sign up to follow the school of their choice. The app is currently live in the App Store and Google Play Store. Just search for Linden Public Schools and download. You'll be hearing much more in the coming days about what the app offers and how to get it and use it. I would like to thank Dr. Olivero, Slavic Pajak, and Mr. Gary Miller for their work over the past year to get the app built, integrated, and ready to launch. Great job. Thank you very much. Also, we are deeply saddened to learn of the death of Joseph Mahan. Joseph Mahan worked for the Linden Board of Education for 33 years. Joe started his teaching career in 1974 as a special education in-class support and resource teacher at Linden High School. Joe taught there until his retirement in 2008. On behalf of the Linden School District, we offer our heartfelt sympathies to the family. Our thoughts are with you and your family during this time. Also, another passing I would like to share. Edward Wojtowicz worked for the Linden Board of Education for 11 years. Edward worked as a custodian at Linden High School until his retirement in 2006. On behalf of the Linden School District, we offer our most heartfelt sympathies to the family. Our thoughts are with you and your family during this time. And last but not least, I would like to announce the retirement of Nancy Kobalarz, who started her teaching career as a kindergarten teacher in 1997. Nancy has been teaching kindergarten, grade 1, and grade 2 students during her 25 years with the Linden Public Schools. She has taught at schools 2 and 5 and will be retiring from school number 5. Nancy, thank you for your passion and dedication to the students of Linden and their families. Thank you for serving on the Superintendent's Teacher Advisory Council and giving me great feedback. The Linden Board of Education wish you all the best. Enjoy your retirement. And that concludes my superintendent's report of the evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Hazelton. At this time, we're going to continue with the agenda with the educational report. I will ask the chairman of the educational committee to please present the agenda.
The Education Committee, upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of School and the Assistant Superintendent, present the following motion to the Linden Board of Education for approval. Items 1 through 31, and I respectfully request a second.
Second.
With the motion on the floor being second, this is an opportunity for a discussion. If there is no discussion, Madam Secretary, roll call for vote.
Dr. Berghammer.
Yes?
Ms. Cintron.
Yes.
Mr. De La Cruz.
Yes.
Mrs. Fleming.
Yes.
Ms. Gilliam.
Yes.
Mr. Martucci.
Yes.
Ms. Pino.
Yes.
Ms. Thomas.
Yes.
Mr. Rivas.
Yes. As we continue, I would like all of you to please skip to the finance report. And the reason that I'm going to skip to the finance report is because we have to complete some items on the finance report that was not able to complete last night on the work session. Those are items 32, 33, 34, and 35. You can see there in your agendas they are blank. It was asked to the board members last night to please go back and review the RFPs. These are RFPs that all board members receive in order to make recommendations for the appointments. And at this time, I would like to ask board members if they have any recommendations that we can discuss. I will start with item 32, insurance broker or record for health, Delta, and prescription services.
President Rivas, I'd like to recommend DAG Doyle Alliance Group for item number 32.
What is the name?
DAG Doyle Alliance Group for number 32.
Is there by chance any recommendations on the floor? Other recommendations on the floor? If there is any recommendation, Madam Secretary, please know that in item 32, we are going to add the name of that Gallagher. Can you repeat it, please?
Doyle Alliance Group.
Doyle. Got Doyle Alliance Group.
Okay. And added?
Thank you. Now we're going to continue with item 33, award contract for insurance broker or record for property casualty. Does anybody has any recommendations?
President Rivas, I would like us to table this until I haven't been able to review it.
Okay, we have a board member that says that she didn't have a time to review it. I haven't seen her any recommendation. Would you like to motion that? Mrs. Dr. Binghammer, you would like to motion
Yes,
to
I'd
have
like to make a
number
motion to-
33 table?
Number 33 tabled because I haven't had an opportunity to review.
Is there any board member who would like to second this motion?
Second.
With a motion to be table item 33,
Only 33.
only 33.
Okay. Table.
I would like to ask our board, I would like to ask our board secretary for a roll call.
Okay. Who seconded? I missed that.
Ms. Thomas.
What are we voting on?
Ms. Thomas.
Okay, thank you.
You're voting to table number 33?
Table it.
Finance
Table
report.
Table 33, okay, all right.
Okay, Dr. Berghammer.
Yes.
Ms. Cintron.
Yes.
Mr. De La Cruz.
Yes.
Mrs. Fleming.
Yes.
Ms. Gilliam.
Yes.
Mr. Martucci.
Yes.
Ms. Pino.
Yes.
Ms. Thomas.
Yes.
Mr. Rivas.
Yes. I want to remind our board members that as we table this, the candidates who receive the RFPs are the ones that we are to go out and check and do recommendations for the next meeting. And let's be noted, let's be noted that we need to bring this item to agenda next month.
You want me to put it on next month?
Because we
Okay.
have to have approvals before July 1st.
Okay.
As for this state. Okay, we go to item 34, appoint a firm for general counsel.
I have a recommendation, President Rivas. Clary, Jacoby, Alfieri, and Jacobs for the General Counsel, number 34.
Number 34, there's a recommendation. Any other recommendations on the floor? If there's no other recommendation, Madam Secretary, please note the name of, can you repeat it, Ms. Malaysian?
Clary, Jacoby, Alfieri, and Jacobs.
Okay, it's been added.
Okay. Now we go to number 35, appoint a firm for attorney for special education and facility projects for the period of July 1st through June 30, 2023. Any recommendations?
I have a recommendation. Anybody else?
Do you have one? I have one.
Okay, go
Okay,
ahead.
we can go to different recommendations. There's no
I
problem.
hope you have the same recommendation like me.
Okay.
I'm a parent of a special needs child. This is special to me.
Go ahead, Dr. B.
Florio, I reviewed it, and I would like for Florio Perusi.
Florio Peruzzi, does anybody has any other recommendation?
I didn't hear that. Who you're recommending?
Florio Perusi.
And this is for special.
Special,
This
special.
is for special education council.
Education,
Have a
yes,
contract
yes.
with
And that's that's going to be a whole separate entity like I talked about last night, or no?
Yes, yes.
You have to
They
have
have
I
it
mean,
as a
it's-
separate,
Yeah, okay, it's a
item.
separate
It's
entity.
separate
Okay,
from general counsel.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, say
Absolutely.
separate.
Yes.
They have it as a separate.
Yeah, because we have 1,400 special needs kids.
You're not telling me, I know. Okay, we're good. I'm good with that.
Any other recommendation? Is your recommendation the same recommendation?
It's the same.
Okay.
good.
Any other recommendations? With no other recommendations, Madam Secretary, please note it on the item, the office of Florio.
Perusi.
Oh, wow, there's a lot of them. Okay, hold on.
P-E-R-U.
That's fine. I don't think you need to put all of them in
I
there.
can just do at L.
Okay.
Thank you.
These are the items on the agenda that were not finalized. It was also another discussion on the board, during the board meeting yesterday regarding this final report of an item that, in agreement, we said we were going to respectfully decline or not accept the bid, and that's for number 10. The board believes that we need to rebid. We need more options. Only having one option will not give the board an opportunity to compare what the opportunities are.
I was under the impression that would be part of your vote.
But yes. So
So
we're
you
going
just
to
vote that way.
make a vote. Board members, if anybody wants to make the motion to decline the RFP provided for school auditor.
Mr. Rivas, I thought the attorney just said to vote no during the vote, and that
That
declines it.
declines it? Okay, so
Did he? Okay, I just wanted to make sure that I heard that.
that is, okay.
Yeah, so that's going to be on the regular vote. You guys can just choose to vote however you want
Oh,
on that
okay.
one item.
So if he says no, we decline the bid?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Just wanted to make sure that we're going to the right procedure. Okay, so our chairman for the finance report, can you please be kind to present the agenda?
The Finance Committee, upon recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools and the Business Administrator Board Secretary, present the following motions to the Linden Board of Education for approval. Number 1 through
32.
32,
32 and then 34
and
through
number
37.
34 through 35, I'm sorry, through 37. I respectfully ask for a second.
Second.
There is a motion on the floor, being second. Any discussion?
Yes, I want to discuss real quick, because we just had a meeting with number 8, which is the Pontonian, about the lunches. So just to let the other board members that were not in the meeting to know what was discussed. They did discuss to us that they are going to commit to bringing up whatever concerns we have and addressing the issues that we have with the lunches. So they are going to bring up to par our concerns once again. We were there probably 30 minutes. They showed us a sampling of the food and the quality, and we voiced our opinions. We asked about the contract, okay? The contract that states who's the school, give me a second, the SFA, and I forgot what the SFA is.
Food Service Authority.
Food Service Administrator, what?
Authority. Authority?
Authority, yes. I was asking who is that, and I believe they said it's us here.
Everybody up here.
Okay, so I said I've been here since 2009 in Linden, and I was never offered to go sit down on a lunch. And I guess if we have a committee that we could get out there between teachers, parents, students. Obviously, I'm a parent of Linden, so they didn't say board members, but I'm sure board members can go and address our concerns. So as I told Pontonian, they've been here since 1988. And once again, I never got an invite, and I never knew we had an advisory board that we can have. Okay, so with that said, we're going to set up to try to get an advisory board and address the concerns that the parents, the students, the teachers, and ourselves may have, and that they are going to step up their game for September to start the school year off in a different and big hoopla, and make sure we try to get what we lost, move forward, and correct what we lost, and get better quality. So I think, like I said, they've been here since 1988. I think we should give them a chance and move forward, and if they can't correct it, then we have to go out there and look for another company.
Thank you.
Are they doing anything to the menu?
Yes, they're looking at that. They did commit to it, and we're moving forward from there.
Thank you for that.
Jennifer.
Jennifer, sorry, didn't see you.
So they also, we asked a lot of questions because we hear your concerns. And we asked what the favorite foods are, what the kids really eat, what they really want. And they had that list for us. We asked about the pink chicken. There's a reason that the chicken is pink. It's because the bone marrow bleeds into the meat or whatever. You know, when you cook a chicken, probably flash cook it, and that will make the meat, you know, a pinkish color. But they're already pre-cooked before they come. We also asked about vegetarian options, and they have a farm stand type of setup so the kids can come and eat, you know, as much vegetables and fruit that they want. We also asked about vegan options, and they do have plant-based chicken tenders, so that will be a pretty big hit that'll be a nice variety there. They are going to set up, they have promised to set up on open house, so the parents and kids can look at the food and, you know, test it, give their opinions, fill out the lunch form, the free and reduced lunch form, which will be a great idea because we need parents to fill out those forms. That's how we get, you know, extra dollars from the state. So we ask that all parents to fill out that form. It's very important for the school district to get those dollars. So we're gonna, I was very pleased with our conversation as well, Mr. Dela Cruz, and I look forward to seeing how this goes. And I'll leave this folder if anybody wants to look at it. This is what we were given, if it's appropriate.
Mr. Dela Cruz, did you guys, I remember Ms. Lamari mentioned the portion sizes. Are they going to have a different portion for elementary, middle, and high school?
Yes.
So kids would be fed
Yes,
properly?
it was talked about. So they did say an example, a hamburger is a hamburger, okay? But yes, as you go up, we know boys eat more than the girls. For some odd reason, that's just the chemistry.
Not all the time.
That is not a statement. I object.
The chemistry of a male, they eat more, okay? So yes, they did address that, and they are giving more portions out to the students. So it's been addressed.
Everything was discussed. They said they're going to improve what they have with the food and everything, and we just got to give them a chance. And like Carlos said, he did tell them about the contract. Sorry. See, I'm telling them about the contract, and he did bring it to their attention, letting them know that if they don't improve that, we're going to go elsewhere. So they're willing to work with us. And like we said, we got growing kids, and they have to eat. And they have to eat healthy. And I was surprised because they do have salads. Not a lot of schools have salads, but they have salads. Our children will have choices, more choices than before. And that's the best part about it. So kids will have a choice. And my thing is, they're going to improve. That's the most important thing. We want the food to improve so the kids can eat much better. And they will have more for them to eat.
You know, a teacher asked me a question today, and she said that we have a lot of children in Linden that doesn't have enough to eat at home. And what are they doing with the leftovers? Is it just thrown away? Or what?
I cannot answer. I'm not an expert on that, but I believe the leftovers due to laws.
Correct.
They have to, because
They
of
have to throw 'em
liability
out.
concerns,
Yes.
they have to throw.
Correct.
Liability issues, they have to be thrown away.
It has to be thrown away.
Throw it out during the COVID, yes.
Listen, a lot of times they'll offer it to some like staff or if they want to take it home there, if it's like prepackaged kind of stuff, but otherwise they have to throw it there. You can't give it to like a shelter or anything like that. They won't take it because of liability concerns.
At the end of the day, I'd like to thank the 4 members that were in the meeting. I believe due to the circumstances, we would have loved to have these meetings before. due to the circumstances that we went through all this particular discussion of the food for our children in our school, it would have been better to timely take action and not be in a position where we have to either hurt our children or decide on a contract or not. I am confident that everything that you mentioned to us today, that the conversation they have, I'm confident that the group will do as they say. And I also want to let you know that I had an opportunity today, as many of you, to see the real contract. And there are terms that we can utilize in the event that these things do not occur. So thank you for that information. Much appreciated.
Oh, one more thing that was added since I glanced at the contract, but there was a couple of things that got my eye, and there was the advisory group. And I did say, if we have this in the contract, why haven't we done it? Because if we'd done it, maybe this issue would have been addressed in September or October, as opposed to be addressing now in May, the end of the school year. So we are working on that to move it forward.
Let's just say that when the horse is dead, it's dead. And the goal is to try to avoid having the horse die. And performance expectations, perhaps, is my only concern, that I could have been done better to avoid us to be in this situation. With that said, any more discussions about the finance? If there is no any more discussions, Madam Secretary, roll call.
Okay, Dr. Berghammer.
Yes.
Ms. Cintron.
Oh, no, sorry. No to number 10. We doing finance, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no to number 10.
Yes to everything else and no to 10.
Yeah.
Yes to everything else, no to number 10.
Okay. Ms. Cintron.
Yes to everything except number 10.
Mr. De La Cruz.
Yes to everything except number 10.
Mrs. Fleming.
Yes to everything except number 10.
Ms. Gilliam.
Yes to all.
Mr. Martucci.
Yes.
Ms. Pino.
Yes, everything and no to number 10.
Ms. Thomas.
Yes to all except for 10.
Mr. Rivas.
Yes to all, and I abstain on number 10, because that's the reason why we needed more information, more choices.
Okay.
All right. Following up in the agenda, as I skip to finance, I'm going to continue with building and grounds, and I'm going to ask the chairman of the committee to please present the agenda.
The Buildings, Grounds, and Security Committee, upon recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools and the Business Administrative Board Secretary, present the following motions to the Linden Board of Education for approval. Number 1, 2, and 3, and I respectfully ask for its second.
Second.
Can I just add, you asked a question, I just want to give you an answer. On number 3, why was it, why didn't they have a service charge? That actually was a mistake.
Okay.
And the agenda item now reads service fee.
Thank you.
I just wanted to let you guys know that that was changed.
Thank you very much. So there is a motion on the floor being second. Any discussion before we pass to vote? With no discussion, Madam Secretary, roll call.
Did you? Oh, you second. I thought you had a question.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm sorry. Okay, Dr. Berghammer.
Yes.
Ms. Cintron.
Yes.
Mr. De La Cruz.
Yes.
Mrs. Fleming.
Yes.
Ms. Gilliam.
Yes.
Mr. Martucci.
Yes.
Ms. Pino.
Yes.
Ms. Thomas.
Yes.
Mr. Rivas.
Yes. Continuing with the agenda, I'm going to ask the chairman for Planning and Policy Report to please present the agenda.
Planning and Policy Committee, upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, presents the following motion to the Linden Board of Education for approval. Item number 1, the second reading of policy number 3320, purchasing procedures, and policy 5131, conduct and discipline. I respectfully ask for a second.
Second.
All right, with a motion on the floor being second, is there any discussion? Madam Secretary, roll call.
Dr. Berghammer.
Yes.
Ms. Cintron.
Yes.
Mr. De La Cruz.
Yes.
Mrs. Fleming.
Yes.
Ms. Gilliam.
Abstain to 3320 and yes to 5131.
5131 and abstain to 3320.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Martucci.
Yes.
Ms. Pino.
Yes.
Mr. Rivas.
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Okay. And last but not least, we're going to go to our personal report. I want to make sure that everybody knows that this can become a little bit confusive. There may be some confusion, so we want to make sure that everybody takes the time to follow it through. But before I continue, I'd like to ask for a legal advice to our counselor in regards to contracts to tenure unaffiliated employees. Can you provide us some information on how are the contracts for unaffiliated employees process should be?
Yeah.
Tenure unaffiliated employees.
Yes, and thank you for letting me explain so that we can alleviate any concerns or alarm that members of the audience might have. I am recommending to you that you temporarily pull the individuals listed on Exhibit A who are unaffiliated. Now, why am I asking you to do that? They're tenured employees, right? They're not going anywhere, right? Barring anything coming up in the next couple of days that would give cause, they're going to be employed here. That's by law. Also by law, they can't be reduced in compensation. But they all have individual contracts. Their terms and conditions, their compensation are not governed by collective bargaining agreements like a member in the LEA or LASA would be. So we need to figure that out, right? What, if any, increases in compensation are going to be provided? We need a contract. Every year they get a one-year contract that we approve. Some of these individuals need their contracts to be approved by the county superintendent. So I'm recommending that we have the board actually agree to these terms before we proceed to these employees. This came up, I don't know if it was late last night or early this morning, with the length of our meeting last night. But Dr. Baldwin was able to help me this morning, and it looks like two of the unaffiliated, the county somehow signed off on contracts, but the board never signed off, and no one from the board authorized anybody to send them to the county. So I have to figure out with the county how that happened, who sent them, why they sent them, why they were approved without the board signing off on them. But the long story short is all these individuals are going to be employees of the Linden Public. They're not going anywhere. Their compensation is not being reduced. We're complying with the law. We just need to have the contract terms finalized before we move forward. That's my recommendation to the board.
Thank you for clarification, and that is something that it was brought up to my also my knowledge, not only through the conversation we had last night, but today also with information received from the district. Therefore, in order to make it official, I'd like to motion.
Wait. I have a point of order. Excuse
Yes.
me. Apologize. I didn't hear the question that our attorney was answering.
The question is,
You want me to answer?
Tenure unaffiliated employees, certified staff, that they have individual contracts. These contracts needs to be reviewed by the board. As per my understanding, this is the reason why I asked for the legal advice. And our counselor has provided the answer. Counselor?
I don't think you should go through the formality of reappointing these unaffiliated employees until we have their contract terms solidified.
Can we do that since I thought they needed information by May 15th of any, no.
They have to have 1 year. They have to have 1 year contracts every year, and they're going to be here. May 15th just means you have an offer of employment, right? For certain employees.
So are we pulling? I didn't understand.
I'm recommending that we pull until we figure out what the compensation is going to be. Are we giving additional compensation on the contract? If so, how much? I mean, don't you want to know that before you vote to reappoint somebody?
So then I guess my next question, I have a couple, I apologize. Then so when you said that we're pulling and they're still going to be here, does that mean that they're going to be being here? Or?
Yeah, they'll work under the existing we'll diligently work to get that finalized. This is not like reinventing the wheel. Their compensation can't be reduced. It's just a matter of what, if any amount, you might want to increase it, right?
So we're just going over their contract and then signing it.
I
since
need
it's
you
already
to
been
sign off,
signed?
yes, I need you to sign off on contract terms.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Mr. Matucci.
Yeah, I just got to get one question clarified in my head. You hate when I say that.
No.
But, the thing is, what I didn't understand, and I truly didn't understand, being in education over 50 years, when I saw the RIF list, and my rights list, I would get the two mixed up. And I'm saying, I said to myself, why are tenured teachers have accrued tenure already on here? Because never, ever, that I can ever remember, once, what is tenure? Tenure is what, 4 years in one day?
In one day.
So technically, once a teacher accrues tenure, it's an automatic rollover every year. The board, and correct me if I'm wrong, the board doesn't have to, once a teacher receives tenure, or anyone receives tenure, basically, you don't need to approve that contract the following year. It's an automatic rollover. Now, in the years past, what the state made us do, which was crazy, all your one-year contracts, which was your powers and your aides and those who were untenured, what the state did is that when they went on the agenda every year, they had to go on the agenda because they were one-year contracts, and for powers, for aides, and for non-tenures. It used to be they had to go on here, and they made us send letters out to everybody, and they made us do that. I think I'm going back, 7 years ago, and then about 5 years ago, the state changed it because cities were saying, this is crazy. I mean, if there's one person that basically is a year to contract, and basically if you're not going to rehire back, then that person should have been told. But and this is what I'm saying, is that I can understand, I get it with the untenured and the one-year contracts. I do not get when a teacher has tenure, a 20-year teacher that has tenure, why do they have to be on here? Because as a teacher, as a former teacher, and I'm sure a lot of them out there can admit that, when they got that in the mail, what's your first thought? Oh my God, I'm getting transferred, I'm getting fired. Been there, done that. You don't want that. And I'm saying to myself, why did that happen? Why a 20-year teacher called me up once and said, Craig, am I getting fired? I said, no, why? I just got riced. I got riced. So the first thing in their head, what did I do wrong? Am I getting transferred? But it went to 1,100 people. And how many of them were tenured? And this was not good.
Okay.
In the interest,
I just thought that was bad. I get it with untenured. I get it with powers. I get it with one-year contracts. I do not get it at all, Joe.
Mr. Martucci.
And I understand you don't get it. And in the interest of efficiency, I'm not going to debate it with you here today. I'm just going to say this. And I think a lot of the confusion sometimes that I see on this board is because there were things that have always been done a certain way, but that way isn't necessarily the right way. And I know on my end I'm trying to correct some of those errors, and I think others are too. We can certainly consider whether or not you feel your way is the best practice versus the way that other districts do it. I don't think that that's something that we need to waste time or energy debating tonight. I mean, the rice notices went out. It is what it is. There's no point.
I'm just speaking as a former teacher.
I understand.
And my feelings, if I got one of them, and that's what I'm saying. So I'm just putting it out there. Let it be what it be, but I just
I
kind
do
of get that
respect your
set in my
comments.
head.
I do respect your comments.
I have another.
And not only understand where your comments are coming from, but we're not talking about teachers. This particular conversation started, and I wanted to maintain the conversation on what we talk about. We're talking about tenure unaffiliated employees. We're not talking about teachers. Okay, so I understand that you made the comment about what you feel. I respect that. I respect that. But we just want to maintain on the subject. Ms. Gillian.
2 questions. Would that be Exhibit A?
I'm going to, that's what it's going to get a little tricky because I have asked information for our Director of Human Resources. So when I'm going to make the motion, I want to make sure that you've noted who these people are. I already been given the list.
Okay, and then my following question will be, since we're pulling and we're going to, I'm assuming, go over their contract to sign it, I guess my question is, who is going to do that? What are those individuals? Will the board get to see that? Is it
Well, according to what I know, and Counselor can provide us more information, we will follow the statute of our policy, or whoever has to negotiate these contracts will be negotiating. For sure, the board needs to be informed of what these negotiations are, and our counselor will meet or will ask these particular individuals for negotiations of the contract, I believe together with the superintendent, who is our representative of the board, and we will follow all the policies that there are regarding those.
The short answer to the question is yes. The board will have to sign. Of course, you have to sign off. Who else is going to authorize?
No, what I'm
salary
saying
increases?
is that going to go through like a committee, or is that going to be brought up to the board as a whole? Because
I would prefer to get it done as expeditiously as possible. Again, really, you're only looking at compensation, and it's
not answer my question. Is it going to go through the committee, or is it going to be presented to the board as a whole?
You didn't give me a chance to answer the question. So what I was going to say was I would prefer that whichever manner is the most quick and expeditious, so that we can finalize this and vote on it. However you want to proceed is up to you.
Board President, can you just inform? I still feel like it didn't answer my question. So I just want to know, if it is going to go through a committee, can you make sure that the whole board is aware of what's being done in the end, if there is an end conclusion?
But that is perhaps something that what the council have to say. Everything that is going to be discussed, everything that is going to be finalized, all of us will have that information, so we all can discuss it.
That's it. Thanks.
Yeah. All right. Being that I asked for clarification, being that we had a discussion, I'm going to make the formal motion to take out of the exhibits A, C, A, C, and D, the following unaffiliated tenure.
D as in David or B as in boy?
A, C, and D, and I'm going to give you the numbers so you can mark down who, as per the list that I received from our Human Resource Director. In Exhibit 8, number 28, 29, 31, on Exhibit C, number 3, number 4, number 20, number 34, number 36, number 45, number 51, and in Exhibit D, number 337.
I'm sorry,
Wait,
can you
say
repeat
that again?
that?
And Exhibit D, number 337.
3. You said 3
Three,
twice.
337. Exhibit D as in Delta,
337?
337.
Okay.
337.
Oh, so not number 3.
No.
Ah.
337. So they need to be removed from this exhibit in order for us to vote.
So then we do not mention this law in our votes.
No, when we mention it, they will not be there. So when we take it, once we take it off, they're not going to be there. So when we vote on the exhibit, those names are not going to be there.
What numbers on C?
Now, the names that I just provided to you in my motion were names that were provided to me by the Director of Human Resources, Dr. Bowen, as it was asked the persons who are on a tenure, certified, unaffiliated, who has personal contracts that we are going to be reviewing. I respectfully ask for a second.
I second. What if a name or two is missing? What happens?
Pardon me, madam?
What if a name or two is missing?
Yeah, she second.
Let's go to the discussion, because after the motion, go to a discussion. There is a motion on the floor being presented to remove out of the different exhibits the names of unaffiliated, tenure, certified and non-certified staff with the numbers that I just recited before, being second. Any discussion? And this is the part where you have your question.
Yeah, what if in these names here, a couple of people names are missed out, missing? What if names are missing from these that were just recently presented?
So,
would we be able to get it after the vote or
Related to this motion?
related to this
is
motion?
there any names that we can be missing for tenure?
Unaffiliated tenure?
Yes, based on the list that you provided us. So the question is, what about if we miss anybody and they have not been named? What would it be the protocol? Do we?
You could request it from us, and we would provide it to you just like we're providing it to you for all the people
All right.
that were just
So
identified.
let me redo my motion so it can be clear. I motion for the unaffiliated, tenure, certified, or non-certified employees, which numbers I have recited previously, and in the event any employee who may fall in this category, whose name may have not been given to me, to be taken out of the exhibits and postpone their appointment until we review their contracts. May I respectfully have a second?
Oh, wait, no discussion? I don't understand what you're talking about.
It's the same thing. I'm just trying to add to my motion that if by any chance Dr. Baldwin forgot to give me a name, they'd be added to the same process that the names that I have recited.
Okay. To the exhibit. Okay.
All right, so anybody,
I have a question.
go ahead.
I don't know if it's right or right. On Exhibit A, right?
Yes.
Why is 71 still on here? Isn't he not, that's not supposed to be there?
We'll go to that discussion in a minute
Okay.
after this motion.
No problem.
All right, so my motion is on the floor. I respectfully ask for a second.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor being second. Any discussion? Madam Secretary, can we please have a vote on the motion that I just made?
Who is the second?
Mr.
Okay,
Director.
thank you.
Read the motion.
The motion is to pull the tenured, unaffiliated employees.
But it's not only
No.
tenured.
No,
so-
let me repeat the motion.
Yes.
The motion is to pull out of the exhibits,
Oh, Kathy, stop texting.
all the exhibits, A, B, C, and D. Okay? Unaffiliated, tenure, certified, or non-tenure certified staff who will have a contract to be reviewed. The names that was provided by Dr. Baldwin are the names that I recite you before.
Those are the.
In the event, and you have those, you want me
Yeah.
to recite
No,
them
no,
again?
but I'm saying we gave you the names of the tenured
Yeah,
ones.
yes.
Okay, that's what I said. I said tenured, and you said no.
No, tenures. We're talking about tenures.
Let's just do this in a separate motion, A, B, and C. It'd be simpler to do that. You have Exhibit A, vote on Exhibit A, make it simple. Vote on Exhibit.
That's not.
Dude, it's simple that way.
That's not as simple as you think. It's going to become confusing because all these exhibits may become confusing. Let me repeat what the motion is.
Okay.
Where's C?
We have tenure, certified, and we have some non-tenure certified staff,
Certificated staff.
which names I have recited to you that I have asked to be pulled of the exhibits for not appointing them tonight in the voting of the exhibits until we review their contracts and we approve their contracts. I have provided you the names already. I gave you the exhibit and the numbers. Those are the numbers that I am asking to do. In the event there is any name that it might be missed, they will also be added in the futures for a contract revision.
Okay.
I have a question. I don't know, but can you use that verbiage of non-appointment if we're just
Well,
reviewing?
the thing is that tonight we have to, as per items, we have to appoint them or not. Tenure employees do not need to be appointed. They are tenure. They're continued their job without any worries.
There's also non-tenured that is
Yeah.
also, that's something that we're voting on.
That's why
So
I
that's-
want them to be pulled of the exhibit, so when we vote on the exhibits, the name will not be added on it.
Carlos, it doesn't make any sense.
So let me see your paper.
The non-tenured, I don't understand.
So the names that he.
Mr. Martucci.
Hi, Joe, question
He's
to
going
you.
to take off the list, and
I'm
we're going to
just looking,
review.
and correct me if I'm wrong, I could be wrong, but I'm just thinking, I'm looking at, if I remember right, if you are to be an AV technician in the academy, you have to be, and correct me, don't you have to have a certification in Apple, or there's a certification there? You just can't take a guy up the street and say, hey, look, you're going to be my tech guy. There's a certification there, and also, let me ask you a question. On a crisis intervention, in order to be, and correct me if I'm wrong, if I remember right, a crisis intervention person has to have 60 credits.
There's certificates that are recognized, there are certificates that are not recognized. I didn't prepare these lists. I don't think that the lists are even, I don't think, right at this moment, the lists are even relevant to the discussion.
Yeah.
The discussion is he wants to, based on is remove the unaffiliated until that we can, two things. One, negotiate terms. B, get the county approval. Someone sent contracts to be approved by the county without any approval from you. I don't know who did that. Exactly. I don't know who did that. I don't know what authorization they had to do that. But someone sent contracts to get approved to the county with no authorization from the board. That's not, so when you were talking about earlier, we've always done things this way. We've done a lot of things this way that are wrong, and we got to correct them and do them the right way. I think this is a first step towards doing that, and we're getting bogged down in all sorts of semantics here, instead of just like
Madam
calling the vote.
Secretary, I just want to make clear,
I
do
understand.
you have the names that are recited, the name and the numbers that are recited to
I
you?
believe I do, but all the people that you are tenured, unaffiliated people. There's no non-tenured of the names that you recited. That's where my confusion is.
According to the list given, in Exhibit D, there is a non-tenured, non-certified staff,
In their own.
number 337,
Yes.
and that's the reason why I use the word non-tenured.
Okay, I understand. Okay, now I
Okay.
get it.
Right now.
All right,
It's both, okay.
all right. Now that we got this,
Mr. President,
yes,
can you please explain it one more time?
yes. All right. You asked me to explain the motion one more time?
Please.
Okay. They are employees. They're unaffiliated. They're not affiliated to a contract negotiations, so LEA or LASA or such thing. That they have personal contracts with the district. These contracts need to be reviewed and approved by the board in order for them to exercise their job the following year. The people that are tenured do not need to be reappointed by us because they're tenured. However, they are on list on the exhibits that they have presented to us. And as we continue with the meeting, we're going to vote on exhibits. I want these people to be taken out of the exhibit so we don't have to go to double job later to identify who they are. So I'm identifying the people that need to be pulled out of these exhibits. So when we vote later in bulk and we said exhibit A and we may say yes or no, these people are not part of that exhibit.
You get it?
Madam Secretary, roll call.
Okay, Dr. Berghammer,
Yes. Yes.
sorry. Ms. Cintron,
Yes.
Mr. De La Cruz,
Yes.
Mrs. Fleming,
Yes.
Ms. Gilliam,
No.
Mr. Martucci,
No.
Ms. Pino,
Yes.
Ms. Thomas,
Yes.
Mr. Rivas.
Yes. Okay, ladies and gentlemen.
Mr. Rivas, can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
We're not saying that they're not going to work here. We're just going to review the contract. That's
yeah,
it.
yeah,
We're just
that's-
reviewing a contract.
That's
Well, we're not denying employment to anyone.
I tried to really make this clear and simple in the beginning, and we got way off track, right? You have, particularly on list A, right? Those are tenured, certificated staff. They're not going anywhere.
I understand
right?
the tenure.
They're not. But we need to know what the
non-tenured.
compensation is, right? We need to know what, every year they get annual contracts. None of you have any idea what those contracts are. You're just going to vote without having any knowledge? Nobody's bothered by this? No? I mean,
Non-tenured didn't make any sense, but we already voted, so we could continue.
All right. Let's continue. There is an error that I find out in Exhibit A, number 71, and the district has informed me that that is an error, that it was removed to another exhibit. Can the district please explain?
Take them off, yes.
What number?
Exhibit A, number 71.
A71 is now found on Exhibit D, D as in dog, 83. So it was a duplicate.
Okay. Now, if there is an error, we need to correct Exhibit A. And unfortunately, in order to correct an exhibit that is already placed on front, we have to do it through motion. So I need to motion to correct Exhibit A, removing number 71.
do you want me to explain before we get like a half hour's worth of questions?
Yes, yes. Go
All
ahead.
right. The position is not a tenurable position. I think there was a mistake and somebody thought it was, and that's how it got on there. That particular position, because it's not one that or has a certificate issued by the State Board of Examiners, is not one that is tenurable via statute. The only way it could be tenurable is via contract or via board policy, which doesn't exist. Dr. Baldwin and I spent a good part of our weeks digging through that, and there's absolutely no evidence that there's any board policy or contract that would make that a tenurable position. So that's the reason for the change. It shouldn't be on a tenurable list.
So there is a motion on the floor to remove Exhibit A, number 71, out of the exhibit. Respectfully ask for a second.
Second?
Any discussion before we go to vote?
Okay, I'm sorry. You saying out of the exhibit, or you're moving it from
From out of the Exhibit A.
the D?
Exhibit 8, 71 should not be in Exhibit 8. Any other discussion? Madam Secretary, roll call.
Dr. Berghammer?
Yes.
Ms. Cintron?
Yes.
Mr. De La Cruz?
Yes.
Mrs. Fleming?
Yes.
Ms. Gilliam?
Abstain.
Mr. Martucci?
I got to abstain. I am totally lost right here, and I'm abstaining. I have no clue what we're doing right here.
So, Greg, just to be clear, again, this position was one that was listed on a tenure list. It's not a tenurable position. In fact, back in, bear with me, again, because Dr. Baldwin and I spent, far more time probably than we wanted to digging in on this. Back in 2020, there was a draft assembly bill. It's, A3219, that was sponsored by Assemblywoman Jimenez, that would have made it a tenurable position, right? It would have modified 18A 17-3 to make this particular position tenurable. That language never made it into 18A 7-3. The bill did not pass. It's not a tenurable position. That's why we have to move it out. It's on the wrong list. That's it.
All right, continue with the vote.
He's on the wrong page.
Madam Secretary,
Yeah,
continue
okay.
with the vote.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Oh, Ms. Pino, I forgot you.
Yes.
Mr. Rivas?
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, I know it gets complicated, but as you've been hearing it, this board wants to make sure that anything that might have not been done correctly, to be done correctly. Two wrongs do not do one right, and we need to make sure that everything is correct on everything that we do. And perhaps that's the reason why many of you may understand, why do we have to go through all this list? What is everybody got tenure? What is all this list up for? And the reason is that when we have to discuss, unfortunately, we have to go from one exhibit to another, and the name of all of you may come across, and to protect your rights. And that's the reason why the rights notices were issued. I don't think there's any other mistakes that I can see. So with that said, when the motions are, when there are chairman, you can just add, when you present, you can present all items, so we will vote on all items as it stands. Our chairman for Personnel Committee, can you please present the agenda?
The Personnel Committee, upon recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, presents the following motions to the Linden Board of Education for approval. All appointments and reappointments are contingent upon and may be modified based on student participation in the district's receipt of sufficient state school aid and other revenue. I am asking for approval for items 1 through 43, and I respectfully ask for a second.
Second.
There is a motion on the floor being asked for approval, being a second, with any discussion. Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
Sorry. If there is an incorrect title associated with the names listed here and that something passes but it's an incorrect title, what happens? Is there...
Can Dr. Baldwin can answer the question about the incorrect titles in some of this? There might be correct titles in some of this.
If somebody passes with an incorrect title, what happens?
I think it's a technical.
Yeah, it's most likely just a
correction.
technical error.
Okay, thank you.
It doesn't affect their employment status. We'll make the correction.
Yeah.
I do have a item that is not an error, but during these discussions, I want to bring into just bear with me 1 second. As I said, all the lines look the same, but I do have a concern about an item. Right here. I have a concern on Exhibit B, number 11. And unfortunately, due to the timing of our meeting, I was not able to get information that I request. And I would like to, during this discussion, ask for this item to be tabled for further discussion into next month. Exhibit B, number 11.
Or B, D as in dog?
Victor, B as in Bravo, B as in Bravo, Bravo 11. I'm asking for this particular line to be tabled for discussion until next month, until we get more clarification on.
They're gonna renew.
What's that?
They're gonna renew.
It's going to be...
That's going to be provided by the district. So Exhibit B 11, I'm motioning to table for discussion until next month agenda. Respectfully ask for a second.
Second.
Any additional discussion based on what I informed? With no discussion, Madam Secretary, roll call.
Oh, wait. You know, it doesn't matter. Go ahead.
Do you have a...
No.
No? Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going. Dr. Berghammer?
Yes.
Ms. Cintron?
Yes.
Mr. De La Cruz?
Yes.
Mrs. Fleming?
Yes.
Ms. Gilliam?
No.
Mr. Martucci?
No.
Ms. Pino?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Rivas?
Yes. Okay. Any other discussion?
I do. So now, since you guys pulled him, because the only question that you asked was the matter of a title, which Dr. Baldwin had explained during our work session. So now, since we're removing him, who will be in charge of our PR throughout the district?
No, we're removing it to have him appointed to next month. That will give us a month.
okay.
That will give us a month to get any information that we want, and it will be brought up in the agenda next month for us to vote on it.
Okay, so then now my question is,
Non-tenured certificated members who do not receive a non-renewal notice by May 15th are deemed renewed.
So we just wanted to get the information that without, for that we need time.
why didn't we do that the first time we voted? This is causing so much confusion. When you pulled the names out, why didn't we just add his name at the
Because
same
this is,
time?
he's not an affiliated, he's an affiliated member.
Okay.
These lists are causing confusion.
I know it sounds confusing, but again, this is the reason why we need to try to do things the correct way. Okay, roll call.
What did we roll?
We're voting.
We're on the personnel report.
Oh, so, this is the actual, so, I just wanted to make sure I have it right. Ms. Thomas, motioned and Ms. Pino second? Okay, now we're good.
What are we voting on?
We're voting on actual
Personnel
personnel.
report. On the whole personnel report.
Thank you.
On the whole personnel report.
Okay, Dr. Berghammer.
Before I do that, I want to find out, do we have to, like, if I'm voting on Exhibit A, do I have to mention the holder on the tenured and unaffiliated?
Let me provide some information. We're voting for the whole agenda.
Yes.
If you have something that you wanted to perhaps wants to vote separately or want to make a specification, you will need to name the item on the agenda and every specifics to make it clear.
Yes. I want to, yes.
Yeah, just clear me up again here, guys. We just voted on number 11. We just voted separate. Okay.
To table it.
We just voted on that. Okay. Right. Now, why when we vote on the personnel report, that shouldn't even be included in our vote because we already voted on that separately, correct?
So
you
once
can't vote the personnel report with something we just voted on, which would be number 11, included in that. That should be an isolated thing. Am I not correct? Am I missing something here?
11
so that should not be part of this motion on personnel, right?
He is not part. He's already been tabled. He's not part of number 11.
1 to 43
He's
except
talking
for
about
what was
the
tabled?
exhibits in general.
Huh?
Yeah, I'm talking about the
And do
exhibit.
that?
Yeah, we just
1 to 43 except for anything tabled? Is that,
43 except for the item that we tabled.
yeah, is that an acceptable motion?
What about the contract for the,
That is already discussed.
so-
That is,
so-
they're not in the exhibit. They're out of the exhibits.
all right, so we don't have to vote.
Now we're voting on everything,
Yes.
and we're voting on all exhibits except everything that we have pulled and we have tabled.
I can make that the motion?
What?
I missed it.
I think the frustration is with all of these exhibits, the list of names. Maybe next time we don't do that.
1 to
So the
43
motion
except
is
what was
for-
tabled?
As amended, as all the exhibits were amended, yeah.
Okay.
1 to 43.
All the exhibit has been amended. So now that all the exhibit has been amended, we're voting
On
on
everything else.
everything with the, and including the exhibits with the amendments.
I go to the bathroom.
Okay, so let's try this again.
I want to be
Okay.
correct, okay?
So
Dr.
roll call
Berghammer.
on all items and stuff, so like that. Go ahead.
Except for what was amended.
Except for what's amended and however you wanted to vote on.
Well,
Yeah, you go.
Yes, you go first.
I vote yes on all, to all, and no to item 11. Exhibit B, numbers 5, numbers 8, numbers 9.
So you have to go slower.
Wait.
Please.
Go
See, this is
go
what I
slow.
got.
Go slow.
No. Hold on. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. Literally, oh my God, my grandmother. Okay. I'm just confused, okay? I don't mean to be a pain. I just need clarity. Now, we're doing both. We're voting on exhibits as well as personnel.
Allow me to explain.
Garcia, don't shake your head no, because she just said Exhibit B and started listing numbers.
Okay.
She combined both, so I don't understand.
I was shaking my head because I don't think that that's what was intended. I didn't even Unfortunately, I was distracted with
Okay,
someone else
sorry.
harassing me on text message. So I
Okay.
didn't, I wasn't able to
I'm
hear.
just confused. I'm really confused.
This it is. There are 43 items in this agenda, correct?
Yes.
Okay. There are items like item 10, 11, 12, and 13. Those particular items include exhibits. It's like if it were to be item 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But in these items include exhibits. So every member has the right, as she has, to say, correct me, it's your vote. She's saying, I'm saying yes to all except for item 11, okay? Subsection exhibit A, whatever numbers that she said that I didn't keep track of it. And that's the right that she has because every these items have additional information.
Can we do that? Garcia? Can we do that?
Can you do that? Yeah, you can move. You could. The exhibits are part of the agenda.
Yeah, all this is part of the agenda.
So then now, I guess my next question would be is, oh, Lord, okay.
The exhibits are numbers 10, 11, and 12.
Right, so now we're, okay.
So let me give you an easy example. Item number 3, right? If you would have said, I vote yes to all except no on item number 3, sub item 3, right? You got the right to say no to that person on that item.
Can I make it easier?
Yeah.
Can we vote on numbers 1 through 9, and then 14 through the end, and then you can vote on
items by
10,
itself.
10, 11, 12, and 13 individually to limit some of the confusion?
All right. My chairman?
Okay.
All right, so we're going to go 1 through 9,
1 through 9.
14 to 43, and then we're going to come back to those items that they have
Okay, so this
exhibits.
goes away. So I ask Personnel Committee, upon recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, presents the following motions to the Linden Board of Education for approval. All appointments and reappointments are contingent upon and may be modified based on student participation and the district's receipt of sufficient state aid and other revenue. I'm asking for approval for items numbers 1 through 9 and items numbers 14 through 43. I respectfully ask for a second.
Second. Okay.
Okay.
With this motion on the floor being second, everybody understands what we are voting on now?
We're voting on personnel.
Yes, personnel.
Except for
Items 1
item-
to 9, 14 to 43. Roll call.
Dr. Berghammer.
All right. I vote yes, and
It's only 1 to 9
yes.
and 14 to 43.
Yes. I vote yes on item 1 to 9, and yes on item 14 to 43.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's yes.
Thank you.
Now, are these included?
Not now.
Not now,
And
not
that-
now. We're going to go separate, so we don't...
This is a separate entity,
Yes.
which we are going to have a separate vote on.
Yes.
All we're doing is voting on the
Everything else.
personnel on the pink sheets.
Yes.
Correct?
Trying to minimize confusion as
So
best
I
we
don't want
can.
to
at
end
this
up
point.
before the administrative law judge and say, Lobo,
Listen, I don't know why
I'm
we're
just
making it so
telling you, I'm just
difficult.
I don't know why you'd be on an ALJ
All right.
in front of a
Second,
a
continue with the
Robert's Rule of Order
vote.
question.
Ms. Cintron.
Yes.
Mr. De La Cruz.
Yes.
Mrs. Fleming.
Yes.
Ms. Gilliam.
Yes.
Mr. Martucci.
yes.
Ms. Pino.
Yes.
Ms. Thomas.
Yes.
Mr. Rivas.
Yes. Okay, now, Chairman of the Personnel Report, we're going to make motions, individual items between 10 to 13.
Okay.
So nobody gets confused, one item at a time.
Wait. So we're doing just 10? or
Just 10.
Yeah, just 10.
Just 10. I'm
Just
sorry.
10.
I'm sorry.
Is
One item at a time, so everybody can follow through.
No one can claim they were
Don't get confused.
Okay.
Doing this one right now.
I have a question.
Do this one. Right now, we're going to make a motion on
This
10.
actually-
I have a question, guys.
And that's it.
No, no question.
Who's got a question?
Question, yes.
Williams got a question.
Okay, my question is, and this is for
Okay.
Garcia and or whoever has an answer for me. When did
10, it's A.
board members have the right to vote no on stuff like this without the recommendation of the superintendent?
Mr. Garcia.
Always, every time. You always have a right to vote no, as long as you're not arbitrary and capricious. You know that. We discussed this countless times.
We discussed the options, how we can
For
vote
contract?
in personal meeting.
Every vote you make is governed by a standard of arbitrary and capriciousness, right? As long as you're not acting arbitrary and capricious, you can vote. You can vote against the superintendent recommendation, right?
Yes.
But you told us during our... Okay. Yeah, it's so messed
We'd like to remind the board members that we are the governance body of the Linden Board of Education. We are the ones who make the final decisions, and that's the reason why we can vote yes or no. All right. Chairman of the Personnel Committee, please make a motion for item number 10.
Do I need to read the whole thing again? No.
Uh,
Number 10.
Committee,
Committee, upon recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, presents the following motions to the Linden Board of Education for approval. All appointments and reappointments are contingent upon and may be modified based on student participation and the district's receipt of sufficient state school aid, and other revenue funding. I ask for approval for item number 10, and I respectfully ask for a second.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor for item number 10 in personnel being second.
That's item number 10 as
Item number
amended.
10, as amended.
As amended.
Yes.
Item number 10 is accepted.
Any discussions before we go to vote?
I have a question.
We discussed
So while we're voting,
personnel.
We're only voting on Exhibit A.
right. So because we took out, 28, 29, 31,
They are not part of the agenda.
They're not part of
They're
it.
not part of it.
That's
so
it.
They're not part of it.
that's all I have.
Yeah. Okay?
Everything.
Any other discussion? Madam Secretary, roll call on item number 10.
Okay. Dr. Berghammer.
I vote yes on item number 10.
Ms. Cintron.
Yes.
Mr. De La Cruz.
Yes.
Mrs. Fleming.
Yes.
Ms. Gilliam.
Yes.
Mr. Martucci.
I vote yes on 10, 11, and 12.
It's only number
We're only
10.
doing 10.
Only number
This
10.
is only 10.
It's only 10.
Approve
You'll say
the
yes or no on
reappointment of
number
tenure.
10.
I vote yes on that.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Pino.
Yes.
Ms. Thomas.
Yes.
Mr. Rivas.
Yes. Thank you. We're almost there.
Almost there.
Personnel Committee, upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, presents the following motions to the Linden Board of Education for approval. All appointments and reappointments are contingent upon and may be modified based on student participation in the district's receipt of sufficient state school aid and other revenue funding. I ask for approval for item number 11. I respectfully ask for a second.
Second.
There is a motion on the floor for item number 11, which is Exhibit B.
As amended.
Only Exhibit B as amended. Okay? So with that said, any discussion before
Yes.
we go to vote?
Can you please tell us what items were tabled on this one?
Item 11 was tabled. That's not part of Exhibit B no more. As I said, as amended.
Okay.
Got it.
No discussion? Now we can vote. Now you can make votes and you can make specifics. Madam Secretary, roll call.
Dr. Berghammer.
I vote yes on item 11 with a no on item and 5, number 5, number 8, and number 9.
That's 5, 8, and 9. I just want to make sure I have it
Yes,
right. Okay,
yes.
good. Ms. Cintron.
Yes to all except 5, 8, and 9.
Nobody even knew, though.
Mr. De La Cruz.
Yes to all but number 5, 8, and 9.
Mrs. Fleming.
Yes to all except for 5, 8, 9,
Notice it's by May 15th.
and 13.
Ms. Gilliam.
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Martucci.
I vote yes to all reappointments on Exhibit B.
Okay. Ms. Pino.
Yes. And not to 5, 8, and 9. No.
You said no to those, okay?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes, except 5, 8, and 9.
And Mr. Rivas?
I need to join my fellow board members. I will say yes on all, and no on 5, 8, and 9, and number 13.
If I could just say as a point of order, I did ask for my discussion to be held in public. And so clearly the decision made here tonight, it would appear, was made someplace other than the work session that I was in last night for 2.5 hours.
So your employment was not discussed? You can ask for your discussion. If there's no discussion, then there's no discussion.
What?
I don't, what,
Sit here and lie. Okay.
what's that?
My grandmother's in the hospital. I just want to vote, but don't sit here and lie. That's not what we're going to do.
Excuse me, I'm not going to be called a liar, Brandon.
Excuse me?
I didn't call you a liar.
What did you just say? I mean,
Hey, guys, come on, let's move on. Carlos, can we move on?
Let's go to the next item.
I would like
I'll remind you of
discussion
your
of
ethics
my
violation.
employment.
I know.
Dr. Bowen, after the meeting, you can ask and you can seek the answers that you're seeking to the superintendent. We did not discuss in public anything that we did not need to discuss. If the board is not discussing your employment or the condition of employment, they have the right to vote, and that's the right that they choose to do so today.
She's not a teacher.
I cry foul.
Thank you. Chairman of the Personnel Committee, can you please now make a motion on item 13?
No, I think we have an item.
The Personnel Committee, upon recommendation of...
Sorry, item 12, item 12. Item 12, as amended. Go ahead.
When the challenges come in, I'll figure it out.
The Personnel Committee, upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, presents the following motions to the Linden Board of Education for approval. All appointments and reappointments are contingent upon and may be modified based on student participation in the district's receipt of sufficient state school aid and other revenue funding. I ask for approval for item number 12. Respectfully ask for a second.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor to approve item number 20 as it was amended, and there has been second. Does anybody have any discussion before we go to vote? With no discussion, Madam Secretary, roll call.
Dr. Berghammer?
I vote yes on item number 12.
Item number 12, no.
No. Yes.
Oh, on
yes
all
or
of
no?
item 12,
Yes or no?
okay, I'm sorry. Ms. Cintron?
Yes.
Mr. De La Cruz?
Yes.
Mrs. Fleming?
Yes.
Ms. Gilliam?
Yes to all.
Mr. Martucci?
Yes to all in Exhibit
Ms.
C.
Pino?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Rivas?
Yes. Now, we're almost there. One more item.
The Personnel Committee, upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, presents the following motions to the Linden Board of Education for approval. All appointments and reappointments are contingent upon and may be modified based on student participation in the district's receipt of sufficient state school aid and other revenue funding. I ask for approval for item number 13 and respectfully ask for a second.
Second.
There has been a motion on the floor for item 13 as amended.
13 on which one?
Any discussion?
D. Which ones were tabled on this one?
The one that it was amended, it was pulled out, is number 337. It's the last, that was the one. Madam Secretary, roll call.
Dr. Berghammer?
And I vote yes on item 13 and no on items 1, 17, and 83.
Ms. Cintron?
Yes to all, no on 1, 17, and 83.
Mr. De La Cruz?
Yes to all, no on 1, 17, and 83.
Mrs. Fleming?
Yes to all, no on 11783.
Ms. Gilliam?
Yes to all.
Mr. Martucci?
Yes.
Ms. Pino?
Yes to all except for 1, 17, and 83.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes to all except 11783.
Mr. Rivas?
Yes to all, and similar as my colleague, board members, no to 1, 17, and 83. This time, we're going to go to any new and unfinished business. Is there any new and unfinished business that any board of the board members would like to discuss?
Yes. I would like to discuss our security and our buildings, that we desperately needed this yesterday. We have to seriously sit down and make changes with our security before it's too late. These kids that are going into schools with weapons, how are they disguising them to come in and just be able to get in a building and start shooting up people? In New York alone, today they had a 13-year-old they got a weapon out of. And this is all over the news. We need to step up our security. We need to secure our buildings. And I think we have to seriously talk about it. And if we have to find money, we have to find money and move on it real quick. So I make a motion that we talk about this and let's start moving this in the direction we need to move it before it hits our home.
As a part of the discussion or as a part of the conversation, I want to share not only with my colleague board members here, but with the public, that this board has been very concerned about the security of the schools throughout the years, having much conversations. We're not just talking about security today. We're talking about security on many of the events that have happened in many of the schools, where not much clear information has been given to us on why did they occur and what cannot be prevented. This board, it is interested in security. And as I mentioned yesterday, we're going to ask our parents, our citizens, to please understand that if there are measurements that need to be taken in order to secure our schools, to support them. Because nobody wants to see them extreme measurements of security when your son or your daughter will have to go to school, but it's needed it. I understand that we cannot be reactive to things, but hey, we're not exempt for things to happen like the things that have been happening out there. We do not know if we're ready or not to avoid that. But let's just not wait. I have to agree with you that we need to ask our district to start working in a plan, in a serious plan to work on the security of the schools. Mayor.
And I'm sorry if I'm out of order here, but 2 or 3 weeks ago, we reached out to the superintendent's office to try to set up a meeting to address security issues. Unfortunately, there were some conflicts with the principals and vice principals at the junior high schools. We are working very hard to try to set up a time where everyone can come in, and I think it's going to happen. It has to be more sooner than later now, as you can see what happened the last couple of days. But we will be reaching out again to the office tomorrow to try to find out if we can have a time that's good for everybody, and it will probably be after school. The answer that we received first is that we couldn't have it during the school hours because the principals and vice principals had to be in the junior high schools. So we're going to be try to reestablish a time that's good for everybody. And again, I'll be reaching out to the superintendent's office again tomorrow with the police chief to see what we can do to come together with this. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, Mr. De La Cruz, what will be your motion?
A motion on getting a security company or metal detectors or some type of technology that detects something, because we have a lot of things going on within the schools, whether it's weapons or other personal stuff, and students passing out and other stuff that it's just mind-boggling. Mind-boggling on that we have spoken about it and we're still in the same status quo that we've been. We haven't moved forward. And it's getting scary. And this incident in Texas, I'm sorry, I get a little emotional because that could be my son, 10 years old, grade 4. And we lost 19 of them. And it hurts to know, as a parent, that I send my kid to school and I get that call. God forbid I get that call. Any parent gets that call. It is hard. And watching the news, it's getting more and more depressing. We cannot go to a supermarket. We cannot go to an airport. We cannot go to anywhere without being in fear if we're going to get shot up or somebody's going to get shot up or somebody's going to get beat up. And I've noticed, once again, after COVID, this world has really changed for the worse. It hasn't gotten for the better. I do not know what COVID has done, but there's more aggressiveness out there, and we actually need to step up our game. Whether it's our teachers and our students and everybody, we want you to go home the same way you came in one piece, not in a body bag.
So, Mr. De La Cruz, if you allow me, I believe in everything that they want to bring up. We need to have a plan. We need to have an idea. We need to have a project, per se. So may I recommend to ask you that if you would like to motion, perhaps you will ask for a district to present us urgently a safety and security plan to be implemented immediately by the beginning of the next school year, because it's needed, and it's not something that they need to be presented to us as soon as possible. Would you agree that that could be a motion where, with a plan, we can then go and follow up on everything that we need in order to make it happen?
Yes.
So, would you like to present the motion? And we will second. I think that it's important to ask our district to immediately work on a security plan for our schools to be completed and presented to us to be in effect by the beginning of the next school year.
Yes, so I do motion for a security plan to be presented to us and to be in effect by September 2022, moving forward. I respectfully ask for a second.
Second. May I say something first? I know we spoke the last time about security, and I know when it comes to security, there are things that cannot be discussed because we can't let everybody know what's going on. But I also believe there are things that can be discussed. And, we have building grounds and security, but security is always blank. And it's like, I feel that we need to, as you mentioned, like 6 kids fainted, some, the threats in schools and how they were counseled or how these situations were handled. At the end of the day, I must admit, Dr. Hazelton does communicate everything that's going on with us. She does, but I just think that we need to know more about what, the stuff that we could talk about should be included in our daily, monthly agenda.
Thank you for those comments. I will second your motion, Mr. De La Cruz, because I think it's needed, and this board wants to protect our kids. With a motion on the floor of no unfinished business to ask our district to present us a safety and security plan and to be implemented by the beginning of the next school year, September 1st. I'm going to ask if anybody have any discussions about it.
I was going to say, since I've become a board member a couple months ago, I was asking about the metal detectors and also to step up the security at the high school especially. And I feel like there has been no changes with that. And And I understand with Sam, I agree with you as well with Dr. Berghammer that we do need change and we have to keep our kids safe. So I haven't seen it since I've become a board member, and that's alarming, especially with what happened yesterday. It's very uneasy.
Any other discussion about the subject? Madam Secretary, can you take a roll call on the motion presented?
Yes. Dr. Berghammer?
Yes.
Ms. Cintron?
Yes.
Mr. De La Cruz?
Yes.
Ms. Fleming?
Yes.
Ms. Gilliam? Oh, she's not here. Ms. Pino?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
So just step to the restroom.
Oh. Mr. Rivas?
1,000 times yes. It's needed. Any other new and unfinished business that we'd like to discuss?
I'm gonna go home.
With that said, we're going to our next agenda item is a comment of our board members. I will try not to make the same mistake to leave a board member not being recognized to bring the comment. And I will start, I'm going to make marks. I will start with Ms. Pino.
Good evening, everyone. Parents, teachers, and I just want to say that sitting here, this is a hard job. This is not easy. Okay, yes, we have to make choices. We have to make decisions. Everyone is not going to agree with us. But trust and believe we're doing the best thing for the children as well as for everybody else. And with the technology that you're going out to do, thank you. I appreciate that. And you come back and you give us feedback. That's what I want. You go, you do your thing, and you come back. And we appreciate that. Okay, our kids need technology because nowadays, that's what they need. Okay, and I want to congratulate all the children, the graduates, and everyone. And one more thing, just trust us. We're trying to do the best that we possibly can. And this is not an easy job. And it's not easy for me. This is my first time here, and it's very scary. And not to know something, you have to ask. And all we have to do is trust in one another and trust and believe that we're going to do the right thing. You may not agree with us, but it's a method to everybody's madness. And it's a method to the board's madness. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pino. Ms. Cintron.
Good evening, all. First, I'd like to send my heartfelt condolences to the friends and families of the innocent victims that have passed from the school shooting in Texas. Congratulations to all the students who are graduating from elementary, middle, and the high school. I'm happy to be able to attend tomorrow the prom for my son that he's graduating as well, from Linden High School. I'm happy to hear that there's a parent involvement app, so this way there could be communication with the parents, and I feel like that's most important as well, what we need in our district, the communication with the parents. Also, meeting with the president of Pomptonian put me more at ease, and I'm hoping that the quality and the quantity of the food does improve. And with all that, thank you, and have a good night all.
Thank you, Ms. Cintron. Ms. Fleming.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for attending tonight's meeting. I would like to extend our most sincere and heartfelt condolences to those affected by the two most recent travesties in our nation. First, the Buffalo shooting that claimed the lives of 10 people, and just yesterday, the Texas elementary school shooting that took away 19 of our future leaders and 2 adults. Know that our thoughts and prayers are with you as we come together and mourn these losses. I would also like to extend our condolences to the family of Joseph, Mahan, and Edward. We are truly navigating through uncertain and evil times, and as such, we must band together. May those lost never be forgotten. Next, I would like to acknowledge a few celebrations. It is currently Haitian Heritage Month, as well as National Nurses Week and Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. Let us give our utmost thanks to the nurses of not only this nation, but all around the world for the sacrifices they make. especially in these times of uncertainty. Let us also recognize and celebrate this diverse nation, especially our own diverse city of Linden. We should all truly be proud and celebrate our heritage. I thank each and every one of you for your continued support for the city of Linden and helping us put children first. Let us continue to work together, not only sustain this wonderful community, but to continue to build upon it. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, Ms. Fleming. Dr. Bingham.
I want to thank, I am so grateful and humbled to be here. When I sit here, I always remember that I wear two hats. One, as a resident of the city of Linden, and two, as a board member, trying to support the customers who are the students and parents and taxpayers. Sitting here week after week, last night we were here till midnight, trying to figure out how we could do it right. We constantly try, we constantly push, we keep asking questions, we keep trying to figure out what is right and what is wrong. None of us here are perfect, but I want everybody here to know that every decision that is made by each and every one of us, our priority is the students. Our priority is making sure that our students are well prepared for the world out there. And this is what we do here. We think about their safety, we think about their test scores, we think about their education, and I hope that in the end, we will have a lot of successful graduates that will go out and have great careers and become great providers for their families. I want to thank you again for having me here.
Thank you, Dr. Bingham. Ms. Thomas.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to send my heartfelt condolences to the families affected by the recent mass shootings, and also to the families of those who have lost loved ones from senseless acts of violence. I'm very concerned about the safety of our children, so I'm glad to hear that the city is working with the school district to make sure that our students and staff are safe. I feel like we need to be a better support system for our students, and that includes the board, our staff, our administrators, our leaders of the city, and our community. I just want everyone to know that we should not and cannot take mental health lightly, and we need to be in support of all of our students. This isn't a one-size-fits-all approach, and sometimes we need to change how we do things, and we have to adapt to change. I just wish that the positive things that are going on in this district spread like wildfire versus how the gossip spreads. I think if we focused more on our children, test scores, and safety, that we'd be in a better position. Let us step up and do better for our students. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Ms. Thomas. Mr. De La Cruz.
I want to thank you all for sitting here with us. If you sat here yesterday and today, thank you very much. Congratulations to all everything, softball team, our McManus, and their achievement, students, the walkathon. Congrats to all. And to our retiree, congratulations. You've earned it. Go enjoy your pina colada. And the our councilwoman that came up with the uniforms, I have seen that throughout the district also. And the dress code, it's true, it's beyond me. The way parents just let students or their children walk out of the house with the way they're dressed. My daughter has tried that, and I've actually stopped her also. So There's, I just don't know what to say about the uniforms and how we allow kids to be in pajamas at school. But then again, I've seen some teachers in pajamas in school also, so it's beyond me. Okay, my condolences goes out to the families of Joe and Edward, and also the supermarket over there in Buffalo, the situation in Texas. It's one too many, and there, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but we have to beat the dead horse. We have to get in as a city, and I would like to have our district step up and maybe do something, at least a recognition for the people of Texas, as a school, as a district, as a whole. Even if we just get balloons or something just to honor those that have lost their lives. I would like to, if we could do it before the end of the school year, at least come together and try to do something just to show that we're looking out for our everybody in the United States is all in the same boat. And so far, this is the only country you're hearing that we're going through what we're going through. I haven't heard any other country going through these issues. There may be other issues, but not these. And it's a serious issue that our politicians also have to step up the game and get tougher on these laws. Once again, thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you, Mr. De La Cruz. As I always said, it's very difficult for me to follow through after having heard comments of my colleague board members. Times have changed dramatically, and it's only normal for many of us to fear what's going to be next. But with the same token, I wanted to make sure that I express to our children, to our parents, to our teachers, to the city of Linden, that in the last 12 months, this board has worked harder, perhaps, than any other board in the history of Linden. Never before you have seen meetings lasting 6 hours. Never before you have seen detailing information and questioning what situations and why things are happening the way they happen. What's happening is that we want to make sure that many things that we may have inherited are now to be corrected. I said it before, 2 wrongs will not do one right. And if we continue to support wrongdoings, it will make us part of what it was not done correctly before. I wish, honestly, as a parent, as a citizen, as a human being, that more information in regards to personal agendas, which is a lot of the controversy that is out there, can be shared with district students and citizens, but there are things that we cannot do. But I assure you that everything that we do, we don't do it with any type of agenda versus anybody. Our only agenda is to do right. People are not going to agree with us in many of the decisions because they might not understand. And when we don't understand something and we don't know something, we tend to believe that everything that it is into our comprehension is our reality. But ladies and gentlemen, I've been hearing throughout the last 2 years that COVID affected our district as well as affected many other districts out there. That we cannot compare ourselves yet on how we are when we were in 2018. That we cannot compare ourselves yet where are we doing and how our children have been doing. But we can, in each one of our houses, Everyone who has children in the school district can see the difference if there is any. And many of the citizens of Linden out there are not seeing any difference on the school. They're not seeing on the difference on test scores. They're not seeing on the difference on the education, levels of education that our children are getting. And that's not because our teachers are not working hard. That is not the reason. The reason is times have changed, and now we have to adapt to those changes. And to adapt to those changes, our leaders have to start being creative and start looking at what is it that our teachers now need with the new times in order to offer them that support. Throughout many months, as a public citizen, not as a board president, I hear concerns, I hear information that they're sharing in many different ways. But what I hear is that it's fear. Fear in the people that do the greatest job out there for our kids. But fear that is not being given by this board. Fear that is not being given by the members of this board. Fear that is being a culture from years in the past when teachers cannot even ask for things that they need because they can be afraid that they're going to be reprimanded. We need you to speak out. Principals, supervisors, teachers. If you need resources, we need to hear it. We need you to go to your principals and ask your principals to ask the district. For many of you who may have been here, I was the #1 critic of our budget. I went to details in our budget. I spent time to go line by line. And many of the answers that I was given, they were totally, to me, hard to understand. The schools are not asking for funds. If the schools do not ask for funds, we're not going to give it to them. Or, if they ask during the year, we'll be more than happy to give it to them. We cannot continue to work in these conditions. We need change, and we need to adapt to change. And for that, we need you to come here to that microphone and to tell us how you feel, to tell us how unhappy you are with what you know about our decisions. I wish we can go back and tell you, I want you to know ABC so you can understand, but we can't. But we want to hear you. We want to learn from you what is happening in your schools, because 9 board members do not work with you, are not part of the day-and-day operation. And if there are things that need to be changed, who are the best people to tell us what changes are needed than you? But let's not engage on the decisions of the board. Please let's not engage on how I can understand the board. Please don't understand why did the board did the A, B, and C, which something that I not necessarily agree with them. Let's look at how can you support each other out there in the schools. How can you get the resources that you need out there in the school? How can you come into that microphone and says, I don't understand why teachers are not being hired, and bring us our concerns that we need teachers. Many of us are still concerned why we still have all those outages out there that we have not been able to fulfill. But there are conversations that unfortunately we cannot get into that microphone or this microphone and share with you, because it will create chaos. Chaos that is not needed. But I can assure you, as I said in the letter that I draft for all of you based on the process that all of you experience with the notice, that this board values you, this board protects your right and will protect your rights, because we have no fear to listen to what you need. Thank you. Please protect our children. Please help each other. And please bless us to continue to do the best possible job that we can do in this board. Thank you very much. Have a good evening. Board members, I will entertain for a motion to adjourn our meeting today.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
There's a motion on the floor being second to adjourn our meeting. If there is any discussion, with no discussion, Madam Secretary, roll
Dr.
call.
Berghammer?
Here.
Ms.
Yes.
Cintron?
Yes.
Mr. De La Cruz? Yes. Mrs. Fleming?
Yes.
Ms. Pino?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Rivas?
Yes, thank you very much. Meeting is adjourned.